That's been a fun call. He just ruined it, so I guess we need to end it. No, Daniel. Daniel is all the way from Germany. I'm not entirely sure where, but Daniel, what's your question? Oh, unmuting, I think.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Hi, yes, I am from South Germany. When I woke up this morning, I did not expect to be on this call tonight. The reason I'm here today is because earlier today, I noticed something. I was listening to some barbershop arrangements on YouTube, and I noticed that all of the, in my opinion, the greatest ones that like really make me feel a lot of stuff. I noticed they were all by the same arranger, you know. I knew that How Could I Ever Know was arranged by Theo, and then I saw that Dance with My Father was arranged by Theo, and then I went back to some other arrangements that I really liked, and I looked for the arrangement. Well, it's always the same guy, always Theo.
It's David Wright. David Wright. Yeah.
And he's great too, of course. But anyway, I made a Reddit post on the barbershop subreddit, telling people, hey, if you didn't know, all these great arrangements are all by Theo. And then it was I forgot his name. I'm sorry. Yeah. He invited me to come on this call, and I kind of can't believe that I actually get to talk to you now. So it's very I'm nervous. Like my heart's pounding, and
no, don't be nervous. I know I look really tall and intimidating in the Zoom call, but I'm actually this short. Like
okay, yeah.
This is.
Yeah. So like over the last 90 minutes, I mean, I thought I was gonna just come in here and tell you how great your arrangements are, and I mean I did that now. But over the last 90 minutes, all the stories you told, just everything you said, I don't know, it's inspired me deeply. I mean, I only just started out singing barbershop maybe half a year ago or a year ago.
That's awesome.
I did a lot of a cappella and choir stuff before, but I only got into barbershop a year ago, and just your music alone is inspiring enough, and just meeting you, hearing all your stories, it's I don't know, it's very well worth staying up until 2:30 a.m.
Oh my gosh, you poor soul. I am so sorry.
I don't have anything to do tomorrow, so it's fine.
Oh, good.
So
okay.
and I mean, I haven't really posed a question yet, and I do have one. I've done like a little bit of choir directing in my life, and one thing I found always really hard is when I can tell that something's wrong, but I don't know what exactly it is. Like you can hear that something's wrong, and then you're in the embarrassing situation of having to ask the people to sing it again so you can listen to what exactly was going wrong. And it's always really hard to listen to more than one or two voices at the same time. So my question would be if you have any tips on how to listen for mistakes and how to listen what the mistakes actually are.
Yeah, that's one of the most challenging aspects of our career, of our job, is just how do we address what's wrong, diagnose and prescribe. So, and the longer you do it, the more you realize that certain things that you hear, it's a result of something. Maybe it's a vowel mismatch, or maybe it's a tuning thing, or maybe it's something like that. But the first thing I'll say is that one thing I've really, really learned in my graduate studies is that it is absolutely okay to say, I don't know. So that is something that really, I mean, especially, when I got into grad school and I started to learn under all these amazing, musicians and everything, and we're talking about all this like high level like music history and like talking about like Beethoven, Schubert, and all this stuff, and I tried to pretend like I knew more than I did, and it got me into so much trouble. And the same thing happens in rehearsal, because you know what? And it's not even my barbershop chorus, it's my middle schoolers and my high schoolers. When they know that I don't know, and I'm like, well, it's probably this or that, they're like, he's full of it. He doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
Like, they can smell fear, and they know when you're pulling it out of your butt. So, so my point is that it is okay to say, all right, there's something wrong there. I can't really tell what it is. So what I would then do is then say, let's break it down. So even if you're having a hard time hearing something, you can tell something's wrong and you say, okay, I don't know what it is yet, but here's my process. So break it down, go section by section, and say, okay, I think I heard that in the leads can, and you don't even have to stop and say, I think something's wrong, but I can't tell, right? Stop and say, leads, let me hear you there.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't you. You know, and then it almost becomes a game. Oh, that's surprising. It wasn't the leads. Okay, let's try the baritones. Yeah. And then we tried that. And then, okay, no, and then the basses. Basses. Yeah, it should have been this note, right?
Yeah.
So there are definitely some techniques that you can use in rehearsal to just find what that problem is. Sometimes when you think it's a tuning thing, it's a vowel thing. Sometimes when you think it's a vowel thing, it's a tuning thing. So just try things, and just take note and say, okay. And I mean, honestly, something that was super huge for me, another aha moment for me as a director was just I started recording every rehearsal and then listening back, because I had an hour commute to chorus. I have an hour commute to school. So on my Monday nights, I'd go an hour to school and then an hour home and then an hour to chorus and then an hour back home. And then the next morning I'd have an hour back to school. So I have a ton of time in the car to just, set up my music on my phone and just play back that recording and listen back. And it is like, that is not what I heard in front of the chorus. That's amazing. But I always set the camera behind me so that I can hear kind of more the overall sound.
Yeah.
And recordings are so honest, and you go, oh my gosh, it is totally the leads. It was the leads all along, And the thing is that even, because I've even heard myself go, all right, leads, do this. And then they sing something, and then I'm like, okay, try this instead. And then it comes back, and it sounds worse. And I go, that's it. I'm like, no, why did I do that? So, but then I come back the next week and I say, all right, guys, I know I said this. That was a mistake. Let's try this instead. And it's not, as the leader or director of a chorus, it's not like you want to be like, oh, I messed up, like all the time, because then your singers start to lose that confidence. But at the same time, it's worse to pretend that you have all the answers when you're just as human as everyone else. So take that pressure off yourself. Find some of those ways. In terms of just some ear training things, this is going to tell you a lot about how much time / how little friends I had in high school. But one of the things I loved to do in high school when I first got into barbershop was I would listen to barbershop recordings and I would transcribe them, not to sing them, but just to write them down.
Yeah, actually, I recently transcribed. I wanted to sing the tag to listen, the one that Signature sings, and I couldn't find the notes, so I had to transcribe myself. And it's freaking brilliant. I mean, but yeah, just from transcribing and singing text myself, that's always helped me a lot in just understanding how voice parts work. Yeah.
Yes. And so so being able to do that, that teaches your ear kind of how to hear all the parts, because baritone is usually the hardest part for anyone to hear. And so eventually, through a lot of those exercises, I could always hear the lead because of the melody. I can always hear the bass because it's the lowest. Tenor, I can always hear because it's the highest. But then I realized I have 3 out of 4 parts and whatever's left. And so I don't know if you've ever done like Sudoku puzzles, but that's what it is. When you listen to barbershop, you need to do a mind Sudoku puzzle. And even though you're like, I don't hear the baritone, but the only option can be this because I know the next chord is this. And then you listen for it. You're like, oh yeah, there it is, So being able to do stuff like that. Another thing that can help you, again, with just ear training, is called a play and sing, where you do get in front of a piano with the music that you're working on, and you sing one of the parts and play a different one, and then you switch it up, and then you play a different part, sing a different part. It's even better if you can play 3 parts and sing a 4th. Again, it takes a lot of coordination, but that teaches you so much about how the chords move, how the voices work together. And so those are just some different ideas just to be able to say, okay, this is, those are just extra tools in your toolbox for when you're in front of a group, if you hear something wrong, and again, it's okay to be like, okay, I don't know what the problem is there. Let's try let's isolate, let's break it down, right? And so have them start a little before, break it down in 2 parts. Sometimes it is okay to break it if you think it's an individual, and you don't have that culture in your chorus to be like, Fred, what are you doing? Like, you just sing, let me hear you. Like, of course, that's very few choruses have that kind of like culture, and not that that's
Yeah,
a good
that's
or
sort
bad
of mean.
thing. Yeah, but some choruses they have developed an individualized approach where they go, hey,
Mm.
Chris, you're kind of standing out, or literally, and it's the worst thing in the world. Like when
Yeah.
I will say in the AIC chorus, the first year I was in it, Tony DeRosa looked at me and he said, Theo, you've got to tone it down.
Yeah.
And my face went red for days. But then he was joking, but like I never forgot it. Everyone thought it was the funniest thing ever, and I'm like, I just pooped myself, so I hope you're happy. So but even if you can't isolate, my point with that is that you could even say leads on the front row, let me hear you, baritones on the front row or on the back row. So you can do things like that, but it takes a lot of trust. So hopefully those are some
Yes,
ideas that
thank
can
you.
help you out with
That's
that.
actually really helpful. Thank you very much.
Great.
I do have one more fan question, and then we'll